While the UK government bulldozes ahead with its cruel assault on disabled people, a global music star has demonstrated more compassion in a single evening than our so-called progressive leaders have ever shown. I'm Mike Sivier of Vox Political. Buy me a coffee or donate more than £20 and I'll give you a free book. More on that later. Subscribe to the video mailing list, like and comment on this post, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But watch this first, to the end please, because I found a touching social media post on the Dursley Matters Facebook page telling how music legend Sting went out of his way to give a disabled fan a moment she'll never forget. The author wrote, handed a request note to an official for a name mention. 10 minutes later, she returned, quite secretively, to say Sting saw the note and has invited her at +1 to go backstage to meet him. Off we went, and he was lovely, giving some kisses and holding both her hands. She cried with joy. The family were even granted special passes to leave the venue quickly, avoiding the chaos that followed other concerts at the same site. I said to Sting, it's lovely that you are so big, but still care. It is. But then, maybe he was motivated by a couplet from one of his own songs. I can't play the music because I'll get a copyright strike, but I can quote the lyrics, which say, for all those born beneath an angry star, lest we forget how fragile we are. Sting's humanity stands in gut-wrenching contrast to the UK Labour government, whose treatment of disabled people is anything but caring. This week, Work and Pensions Secretary Liz Kendall proudly unveiled draft legislation to slash disability and sickness benefits, ignoring pleas from charities, MPs and campaigners. Let's be absolutely clear. Despite claims from Kendall, Chancellor Rachel Reeves and others that this bill was about cracking down on fraud in the benefits system, it very clearly is not. I have a feeling that these ministers are quietly going to try to bury the fact that they used fraud as their principal justification. So, shall we have some video clips of them doing just that? Let's go.
I've no doubt, as there always have been, are people who shouldn't be on those benefits, who are taking the mickey, and that is not good enough. We have to end that. £8 billion a year is wasted on fraud in the benefits system. I don't want to see that money wasted on fraud when it could go on supporting more people like we've seen here today. There's £8 billion of fraud every single year, and you imagine the difference that money could make to actually helping more people who can work get into work.
Out of the £8 billion worth of benefit fraud that Liz Kendall is attributing to them, sick and disabled benefit claimants are responsible for only £190 million of it. So she's lying about them, isn't she?
This is about tackling fraud in the benefits system, and quite right too. If people aren't entitled to benefits, they shouldn't be getting them. And at the moment, we waste billions of pounds as a country every year in giving money to people who aren't entitled to it. And what we're saying is if you're ripping off the state and ripping off other taxpayers, we will take money directly out of your bank account and you risk losing your driving licence. So proper penalties for people who frankly, are getting money that they are not entitled to, and we'll crack down on that. By the end of the forecast period, we're going to be raising more than £4 billion a year by cracking down on fraud and error. For too long, this has gone unchecked. And I think most working people would say, absolutely spot on. I don't want to pay my tax to subsidise somebody who's not entitled to support.
The legislation contains no mention of fraud, not one line. So the government's repeated justification that disabled people are gaming the system is a deliberate lie, a smear, a calculated attack on a marginalised group to soften up the public for cuts that cannot be justified on merit. The bill also makes no mention of historical mortality rates, despite the well-documented correlation between benefit sanctions and deaths. There is no plan for hardship relief. and the legislation was introduced before the government's own disability benefits consultation even concluded. The Universal Credit and Personal Independence Payment Bill will tighten eligibility for PIP with new rules disqualifying those whose disabilities don't meet a single high impact threshold, even if they face multiple daily challenges. It will slash the sickness component of universal credit for new claimants from around £97 a week to £217.26 per month, a 50% cut. It will freeze all disability benefit uplifts from 2026 to 30, effectively cutting support in real terms every year. It'll strip support from around 370,000 current claimants, with another 430,000 denied future access. And it will push an estimated 250,000 more people into poverty, including 50,000 children. It will save £4 billion, not by helping people into work, but by simply taking money away from those who need it. And the money will be swallowed up by increased pressure on the NHS, social services, and other areas of government that will have to pick up the slack when disabled people start suffering, so there will be no saving at all. Even carers' allowance will take a hit. £500 million will be slashed because fewer disabled people will qualify for PIP, and so their carers will lose their entitlement too. All while Labour ministers like Kendall smirk through interviews with platitudes about being firm in our convictions. Convictions like these don't deserve firmness, they deserve fury. Sting didn't have to do what he did. He's a multi-millionaire megastar. But he showed a basic human decency that Liz Kendall, Keir Starmer, and the architects of this disaster couldn't muster if their jobs depended on it, which, shamefully, they don't. They say these changes will help people back into work, but they've cut all support that might actually make that possible. Access to transport, extra costs for care, flexibility, accommodation. They've even excluded financial cuts from their own public consultation. This is not a plan. This is a hatchet job on the lives of disabled people. It took Sting just one glance at a handwritten note to show respect and empathy. It took Labour months of plotting to write disabled people out of their own futures. Shame on them. I've been Mike Sivier, and it's time to buy me that coffee now. Donate more than £20 and I'll give you a free copy of my reissued first book, Strong Words and Hard Times. Subscribe to the video mailing list, like and comment on this post, please, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you do all that, you'll be helping keep this channel alive, and then you'll be able to see me in the next one.